Does the absence of a joint communique at the end of the finance ministers meeting in Bengaluru put a lot of pressure on Jaishankar to demonstrate all his diplomatic skills to ensure that there is a joint communique at the end of the foreign affairs ministers meeting? Because if there isn't, there will be a lot of carping domestically, politically, internationally, that we're doing these big meetings and nothing much seems to be coming. There wasn't even enough consensus on a joint statement, even though in Indonesia there was, and very rarely do we see countries dialing back on text that they've agreed to. So that really does put a lot of pressure on India's foreign affairs minister to try and ensure that there is a basic understanding.
Well, Rahul, it is indeed a tough job, especially when whatever they had agreed in terms of the statement which had come out in Bali, the two countries have deviated from that, especially the word war. And our stated objective is very clear, and the position what we have taken so far, that the hostilities must end, and the peace should be achieved through dialogue and diplomacy. So that is our stated position. And even if you just recollect what the Honorable Prime Minister had said in the SCO summit in Samarkand, that the era of war is over, and we still feel that there is absolutely no headroom available for any conflict, and this can be achieved through diplomacy and dialogue. And that is our stated objective. But there is no consensus, or at least at this point in time, the Foreign Secretary has very clearly stated that the discussions are on, and we cannot prejudge what exactly will be the outcome.
How worried would you be
we are putting our
by the absence of a joint communique at the end of the finance ministers meeting, and there, because the focus was largely on debt relief and the global economic situation, you could still say that there are some grounds that can be covered which allows for a joint communique. But in the foreign affairs ministers meeting, if they're not discussing the Russia-Ukraine war, what in the world could they possibly be discussing? And therefore, is this really the biggest test of Foreign Minister Jaishankar's diplomatic skills, that there has to be some tangible outcome in the form of a joint statement at the end of this meeting?
Well, it's been my experience that the host of any multilateral conference, and especially if there's a conference like the foreign ministers of the G20, wants a joint communique. That is a standard thing, and does his utmost to see that there is one. Sometimes the situation is such that it is simply not possible. Jaishankar will have to be a miracle worker to achieve this. He is a man of great diplomatic skills, but he faces a mountain ahead of him. Now, there are two aspects to this. The first is substantive. Zafar Islam is absolutely right when he says that the crucial word which today has become contentious for the Russians and the Chinese is the word war.
But they agreed to it in Indonesia. Now how can they dial back?
There is I don't precisely know what were the circumstances in which they agreed, but Rahul, it is perfectly within the right of sovereign states to dial back, to use your words. It's done all the time. You change national positions, you change your positions in multilateral spheres. There's nothing unusual.